Hi, it's Elise, and I've been asked by my friend Drew Gerber to record for you a series of steps that I'm going to call the Self-Resourcing Reset, and it's designed to support all of us at this time. Uh, what we're going to be doing is helping you find a more resourced way to be with everything that is going on right now, because there's no value in my giving you advice about how to think differently about it or suggestions about what to do about it. The most valuable thing that I can do today is to help you find inner resources that you can tap into so that you get greater clarity about how you should perceive the different aspects and make better decisions that are more supportive of you and everyone else. So you can feel more innovative with more new ideas about what your particular gifts can offer the rest of us at this time. My goal right now is to help you discover through direct personal experience a way that you can be with all the things that are most challenging to you and find that you have greater resources in how you are with them. It's about shifting your interior condition. It's about how you show up, because it's not what's happening to us right now that is as crucial as how we respond to what's happening to us, how we show up. That is the absolute pivotal thing now. So let me lead you through this process. I'm hoping that I have a good sense of the timing of it. And if I'm going too fast and you want to take more time, just pause and then you can slow me down. And I'm going to be trying to simultaneously do the process with you, at least the physical parts of it, so that you can feel supported through it. So it's not just words, but it's actually, you can tap into the energy of what we're doing. So I need to start with a couple of caveats, because we are going to be doing some kind of psychosensory modalities that will impact your physiology and your nervous system, your emotions. So this demonstration does not connote medical, psychological, or therapeutic advice, and it is not advisable for you to move forward with this process if you have previous trauma or deep-seated psychological issues. And what I mean by that is, during the course of this session, I'm going to ask you to discern how activated you are on a scale of 1 to 10. And if you find yourself activated at like an 8 going into a 9 going into a 10, then I'm going to suggest stopping the process, because I can't support you in moving out of that state. I'm going to do everything I can to set this up so that that is not really going to be a challenge for anyone, even though we are all clearly challenged at this moment. But if you find yourself moving beyond a 8, 9, or 10 in the comfort zone, I'm going to ask you to stop the process and possibly reach out to a mental health practitioner who can support you in more specific personal ways. So we're going to start with our philosophy. We want a shared philosophy as we move through this. And the philosophy is that stress is equal to our experience of the external demands, which is really our perception of the demands that life is making of us, minus our perception of our internal resources. And most of us have gone through life up to this point trying to minimize the demands in order to reduce our stress. We'll ask less of ourselves. We'll try to hand things over to other people. But in this case, there's no way that we can reduce the external stress demands. So the only thing that makes sense to do is to increase our own perceived internal resources. And throughout this session, I want you to have a sense of your center like a bullseye, and then everything that goes out from that bullseye. We're going to try to keep your attention in your center and move things out that are not as useful for you to be focused upon. So center, what I call being home for yourself, that's our goal. And then we're going to keep moving everything else out into the periphery. Okay? So what is happening to all of us now as the stress increases, as the uncertainty, as the witnessing of other people's suffering, as the challenges interpersonally, whether you've got people with you in your home and you're getting on each other's nerves, or whether you're separated from people you care a lot about, and that creates a lot of stress and pressure, whether you're witnessing things on television and watching the news, all of it physiologically is going to make us go into reactivity on a nervous system level, or sometimes so reactive that we actually shut down. For most of us, we're going to be going back and forth between those two. But physiologically, most of us are going to feel right now at the effect of life when we're physiologically aroused. Those things go together. Physiological arousal makes you feel victimized, that you don't have a choice, that you're powerless, that you're helpless. This process is designed to help you move out of that state of reactivity, powerlessness, helplessness, victimization into your more resourced state. In our heart, in our emotions, a lot of our attachments, a lot of the meaning that we make around our lives is very challenged. If you have people that you care about that you're separated from, or people that you care about that you're watching suffer, you might start to feel either like very needy, very clingy, very kind of, you're not getting enough connection and not enough support, or you might feel like you've got to wall yourself off to protect yourself. Those are all natural responses when our physiology is activated, is that we get this state of being clinging, needy, or walled off. And your mind is most likely going into cycles where it's ruminating, where it's projecting the past into the future, where you have this compulsion to try to control what you can control, because your mind is trapped repeating the past. When your physiology is activated and the meaning that you make of what's happening around you is threatened, the attachments are threatened, and when your mind is recycling the past, you are in what I'm going to call an unresourced state. So what we want to do is find the resources to bring you out of that unresourced state. That is our intention together today. So another caveat, I'm going to ask you to get a piece of paper and to write some things down. There's going to be so many things you could write on this paper. If I ask you to write 100, you might be able to write 100. I'm going to ask you to write 5 to 7. And I'm going to ask you to do for the first time things that are upsetting to you, but not overwhelming physiologically. Back to our first caveat. Since I can't bring you down out of an abreaction, which is a physiological overwhelm, since we're not meeting in person or meeting as a group, I'm asking you to ask your parts, the ones that are going to make recommendations for what to put on the paper, to control your level of overwhelm, to make sure that you don't go to a level of too much overwhelm, because if you get too overwhelmed, you would be better off meeting directly with a mental health practitioner to support you with any subject that causes you too much distress. Like I said, beyond the 7, okay? Shout outs. This is a process that's going to bring you through some wonderful inspiration from other people, and I want to make sure that they get proper credit. The first is Harry Pickens and his neurocalming techniques. And if you want to download these slides, I'm going to make them available at selfresourcing.com. So you'll have his link. You'll have the link to Drs. Ron and Steve Rudin, who are the founders of Havening. And you'll have the link to Dr. Richard Schwartz of Internal Family Systems. So our purpose. We can't change what's happening around you. We can help you have a direct personal experience of a more resourced way for you to be with some of the things that are currently causing you distress. So as I said before, it's about your interior condition. It's about feeling like you're able to meet the moment in a more resourced way. It's about being with, not needing to distract yourself, not needing to avoid, not freaking out, not going into anger or blame or making the people around you feel like you're unsafe to be with. It's about helping you find your center so that you can bring those resources with you into the current moment. The only supplies you're going to need for this is a piece of paper and any writing implement that makes you happy. So pens, pencils, markers, whatever works for you. So it's a 3-step process. We're going to unhook on a physiological level. We're going to unlock on an emotional heart level. and we're going to unleash on a mental creative level. And you'll see how we do that. So, want to talk to you about the difference between your parts and yourself. And you can learn more about this by looking up Dr. Richard Schwartz of Internal Family Systems. He has a really brilliant model that's psychotherapeutic, used by professional therapists in their offices with their one-on-one clients, but it's also valuable. He talks about it as self-leadership. So you can buy his book that talks about how you apply this in your own life. And he talks about the fact that we each have aspects of us, kind of fragmented aspects of us, that deal with different situations. So there's a part of you right now that has fear, and there's a part of you right now that has anger, and there's a part of you right now that has sadness. But it's not you. It's not all of you. In our society, we're used to acting like it is. I'm sad. I'm afraid. Well, to self-resource, we want to be able to make a distinction between those parts and what Richard Schwartz refers to as yourself with a capital S. So how do you know if you're in self or if you're speaking about a part or from a part? Well, yourself has these qualities that Richard Schwartz has determined over decades of working with people one-on-one. When we can move their fear-based parts out to the side, when we are no longer trying to manage situations, when we feel safe, then the aspects of us that show up are the same qualities, and they're the same qualities in all of us. The qualities that he calls the 8 C's of self-leadership: calm, clarity, curiosity, connection, compassion, courage, confidence, and creativity. So I see these as resources that are held in yourself with a capital S. And as we move our parts kind of to the side to let ourselves show up more, as we're home for ourselves and in connection to ourselves, these qualities all become accessible. And I'm going to specifically have us focus on 2 or 3 of them today, but know that you can come back and do this process, and you can purposely try to tune into any of them or all of them even at the same time, because they come together. They're kind of a cascade. You bring one of them and the rest want to follow. So let's begin with unhooking. I'm going to teach you a very simple tool. It's called self-havening. And you know how to do this already. You've known how to do this since you were a baby in the womb. We can take pictures of babies in the womb and we see that they hug themselves and they hold their hands and they stroke their faces. Okay, so those are the 3 prime steps of the self-havening process. We're not going to do the face touching now in time of COVID. And I look forward to doing this with you sometime in the future when it's safe to touch your face, because that's one of the most soothing aspects of this. But today we're going to be stroking from our shoulders down to our elbows, very gently, kind of with the pressure you would use to stroke a bunny, okay? And I want you to have the feeling of soothing yourself and supporting yourself and calming your nervous system. And then when you get tired of doing this, the second way to do it is to just touch your palms together like this, okay? Even as I do it, just telling you about it, I'm sure you can feel the shift in my nervous system. And it's not just something in your imagination. We actually have scientific research. I can actually explain to you the neuroscience. I won't do it now, but I will in another video, showing how this action produces delta waves that are actually capable of re-encoding what's emotional encoding that's amygdala based. We're actually soothing your entire nervous system, but specifically we're calming your amygdala. As we do this stroke, we're providing delta waves that calm your amygdala, that tell your amygdala it's okay to slow down that fight or flight reflex, to stop sending cortisol into your body, to bring more oxytocin, which is the bonding chemical. So just doing this is bringing us into the present moment. I hope you're doing it with me. Eyes open or eyes closed, just doing this with me brings you into the present moment, brings you some calm, soothes your nervous system, all right? And hopefully puts you in a preparatory mode to begin our actual process. All right, so I want you to get your piece of paper out. We're going to begin with your piece of paper by folding it in half, like this, lengthwise. And then you're going to fold it in half this way too. Okay, so you've got 4 quadrants. We're going to begin with opening it up on the inside. And on the top left, I want you to write, my parts are focused on. My parts are focused on. And now, as I self-haven, as I'm focusing on you and your nervous system being able to be calm as you do this, I want you to write some of the things that you're finding yourself focused on in the midst of all of this. So write about the things that are worrying you, the things that are making you sad, the things that are making you feel hurt and pain, the things that are making you angry. Write about 5 to 7 things. If you feel yourself getting physiologically overwhelmed, you can pause and join me in the self-havening for a couple of strokes. You can yawn too. Yawning is a great way to kind of self-reset. So take your time and write 5 to 7 things that are currently causing you distress. And when you're finished writing, I want you to come back and do these soothing strokes with me. And in the interest of time, I'm going to say we're going to move on. So if you need to put me on pause right now to finish your list, go ahead, put me on pause, and then take me off pause when you're ready for the next step. Okay. And now the next step, I want you to look at your list. And here's what's really important. I want you to acknowledge that all of these things are valid. No shame, no blame, no judgment, no suggestion that if you were really a more courageous person, you would not be upset by these things. None of that is true. I want you to acknowledge this is upsetting to me, and this is upsetting to me, and this is upsetting to me, and each of these things is valid. I don't want you to bypass them. I don't want you to try to avoid, ignore, eat some ice cream to not think about them. I want you to be able to look at them and acknowledge them. And I even want you to be able to feel them. So here's the next step. I'm going to talk to you about SUDS. Let's look at the next slide. We're moving a little into the unlock. I want you to feel how each of those things makes you feel, and I want you to write a number on a scale of 1 to 10 of how distressing each of those things are. 0 to 10, 0 being not distressing at all, I just feel completely calm and neutral and fine, to 10 is like off the charts in how upsetting it is for me to think about this. And for each of those things you have written, just take a moment, tune in, and write for that particular thing what your SUDS level is, what your subjective units of disturbance are for each of the things on your list, and how you feel is valid, and it's real, and it's important to acknowledge it, to let yourself feel it. You can't heal it if you don't feel it, okay? If you haven't written all the numbers, put me on pause. Okay, so I'm going to assume now that you have all your numbers written, and now I want you to take your piece of paper and I want you to fold it over like that and fold it one more time like this. And on one of these sides, doesn't matter which, I want you to write just 2 words, resources and self, in any order. Self-resources, resources and self. Okay, self-resources. And I want to remind you, those 8 resources that are on a previous slide, I can actually find them. I believe I can find those self-resources that we mentioned. Here they are. Okay, calm, clarity, curiosity, connection, compassion, courage, confidence, and creativity. We're only going to be tuning into 2 or 3 of those today, but the next time you do this, you can tune into as many of them as you'd like. Okay, this is your time. Approach this however you'd like. But right now I want to get back into the resource of calm. Let's come back to self-havening. Closing your eyes might be really good. And I want to talk to you about feeling calm. And I want to ask you to come up with, what color is calm for you? Find out what color calm feels like for you. And then I want you to imagine that you've got like a waterfall over your head that can just pour that color of calm, really warm version of that color of calm all over you, like a warm shower. Just more and more calm. I want you to see if you can bring 10% more calm into your nervous system, into your cells of your body. 10% more calm. Sink into that color of calm. Maybe you feel like yawning, just let yourself yawn, even stretch. You can stretch and yawn and then come back to this soothing self-havening process. Soothing, calming your nervous system. Feeling the color of calm pervading every aspect of you. And do this as long as you'd like. If you want to put me on pause to do it longer, go ahead. But in the interest of time, let's move to another resource. Let's move to the resource of compassion. Close your eyes and think of compassion. What color is compassion to you? And imagine a wave of that color of compassion pouring over you into every aspect of your physiology, soothing your nervous system, going into every cell. A wave of compassion. Feel that wave of compassion. So we've got calm and we've got compassion. You've got the color of calm and you've got the color of compassion. We've unlocked these resources from your inner resource, kind of, I don't have a perfect word for that, your kind of inner resource incubator. We've unlocked them. And now we're going to move to the next step, which is what I call unleashing. So we've got these resources and we don't need to hold them for you alone. Let's use this resource of compassion. On the other side of where you wrote resources to self, I want you to write others in need of resources, okay? Others in need of resources. And you can either write down on your list others who are in need of resources. If you want to do that, you can pause and write who you'd like to kind of focus your attention on, others in need of resources, or you can just keep havening with me with your eyes closed, and we're just going to imagine people in need of resources, and we're going to imagine sending the calm and the compassion that you just activated to them. All right, so just follow along with me. We're going to start with some pretty obvious ones, and then you can put me on pause and send to particular people in your environment. So let's first envision sending calm and compassion in the colors that you kind of decided were your colors for calm and compassion, raining calm and compassion over all the people in Italy now. As I'm making this video, Italy has this peak of coronavirus, and they're making some really horrible decisions. I'm not saying that their decisions are horrible. They're being forced into the horrible position of having to make decisions about who to care for and who they can't care for. So let's send them, everyone in Italy, waves of calm and compassion. And just imagine you can send the waves so that they can receive them. They don't know what's happening, but people are able to kind of close their eyes and realize they're a little bit calmer. They're feeling a little bit more soothed. And it's all because of your attention. You have this resource that you're sharing with them now. And let's send calm and compassion to all of the healthcare workers on the front lines, because they deserve your calm and they deserve your compassion, absolutely, unequivocally. Okay? And let's send waves of calm and compassion to the scientists who are trying to figure out how we might be able to end this faster. All right, they deserve our calm, they deserve our compassion. What about all the people who are sick? Let's send them calm and compassion. And the people who are feeling isolated and alienated and alone, they deserve our calm and our compassion. Let's send it to them. The people who are separated from their loved ones and are worried, let's send them our calm and our compassion. And the people who are under the same roof with a lot of people and there's a lot of tension and stress and it's hard for them to be together. There's a lot more tension between people. Let's send those people our calm and our compassion. Okay? You know who else deserves your calm and your compassion? You do. You deserve calm and compassion. So let's send you waves of calm and compassion and kindness and support and understanding and care. It's true that no matter how much you think that you're maybe not handling this as elegantly as you would like, no matter how many times you've gotten scared or gotten angry or lost it on someone you care about, you deserve more love right now. You deserve more support right now. You deserve more consideration right now. Every one of us does. We're moving through something so incredibly challenging, so demanding. And each one of us deserves to receive more care, more compassion, more love. I want you to feel this and take it in. Let your body be nourished by the calm, by the compassion. I want you to value yourself right now because you have worth. You have inherent worth. It's not worth because of what you do or what other people think of you. It's not worth based on what you've produced. It's worth just because you are. The compassionate, calm aspect of you recognizes your worth. I want you to take this in now. I want you to feel it. And if you're getting emotional, it's okay. Let yourself get emotional. If your eyes are tearing as you provide this level of self-support, then let that happen because you deserve that. Your calm and your compassion, you deserve that. And there's a lot of different qualities we could tap into now. We could tap into the quality of connection. Clearly, if we've learned one thing through this, it's that we're all connected. We're all in this together, every one of us. So that's a quality of feeling connection. And when you were feeling your connection to all the people we sent calm and compassion to, that was another resource that you were tapping into. You can tap into courage, because you've got courage to show up stronger and more self-determined, to bring the best of you to this situation, to let this situation be an invitation, be a catalyst, letting it bring out the best in you, discovering what you're made of as you respond to this challenge, just like all heroes in any story or any movie. They need a challenge to discover who they really are. So courage can come online as you tap into your resources. I also want you to bring some creativity online, some ability to not simply repeat the things we've done in the past, but to show up new, with new sense of what's possible, with new sense of potential, with new senses of what we can offer. That's what life is asking for from us, not to simply go round and around and around on a merry-go-round, but to bring something new. So as we step into calm, compassion, and creativity, we are stepping into our more resourced self, our more self-supportive, more generous and generative, and more innovative self. And I want you to have the direct personal experience of what I'm describing to you. I want you to take your piece of paper now. I want you to open it up. And I want you to look at those things that you first wrote about as being distressing to you. And while I continue to self-haven, I want you to see if your SUDS level changed on any of those. See if you feel different when you look at that list. See if you're bringing more resources, and by bringing more resources, the demands, the challenge, the stress diminishes, in proportion. I would be very surprised if you did not find some, if not most, if not all of those suds going down by 5%, 10%, maybe 15%. So realize what you've just done. You've just brought greater resources to this moment, to the challenges that you're facing. You're showing up as a more resourced version of you. And because we brought calm and compassion, let's see if we have some creativity. I want you to look at your list of things and see if you've got some ideas now, some new ideas, some more innovative, generative ideas about how you might respond, not react, but respond deliberately to those things on your list. What can you do that will help you act from this resourced place to support yourself and to support everybody else? Because here's an interesting thing. When we're unresourced and our physiology is aroused and our heart is protected and our mind is spinning and trapped in cycles of the past, the actions we take are not supportive of ourselves and end up not being supportive of others. It becomes a whole cascade of what doesn't work for me ends up harming other people down the road. It's like the story of this made me upset and that made me upset and that made me upset, and I got home and I kicked the cat. However, the inverse, and what we're doing now is we're inverting your attention. We're pivoting you to pay attention to yourself, not try to fix or control or save and rescue other people, but give yourself your full attention in order to have more resources now to bring out into the world. So when we come from this place of self-resourcing, the choices we make for ourselves are beneficial. They're benevolent to ourselves. They're the highest choices we can make for ourselves. And they're the highest choices we can make for ourselves, and they absolutely are beneficial to other people. That's the cascade. My beneficial choices become beneficial to others. So whatever creative ideas you have, you can put me on pause and write the creative ideas down for each of those things. Okay. So we moved through all of the steps: unhook, unlock, unleash. And hopefully you feel 5, 10, 15% more resource now. And right now you have ideas about how you can bring this greater resourced version of you to support yourself in those areas. And not only are you feeling more regulated now, but when you go out and interact with other people, you're going to notice that they benefit from your greater regulation, because we were born as humans to co-regulate one another's nervous systems. I'm sure you've noticed that when you're activated, people around you get activated. Well, I'm here to tell you that when you're self-resourced and regulated, people around you start to feel safer, to come into regulation themselves. So we're starting an exponential flow of self-support, generativity, and innovation, one person to another. And I wanted to make this short and sweet. I hope that I've made it sufficient and succinct. And I only had one more slide I wanted to share, which was a thank you slide. A reminder, if you have questions or clarifications, you can come to selfresourcing.com and you can download these slides. You can look up self-resourcing in Facebook, the self-resourcing page, and we're going to be providing a regular set of videos like this. I'm inviting other people to create videos to help you become more self-resourced. We're going to offer those, hopefully a whole calendar of them you can attend live, but certainly a whole set of resources that I'll also try to make available on YouTube when I make a self-resourcing channel on YouTube. This is just my creative, innovative sense of what I can contribute at this moment. So we're just beginning here. But The closing thing I want to say to you is repeating what I said in the beginning, but it might land better now if you're feeling more home for yourself. It's not what is happening to us, it's how we choose to show up to what's happening to us. And if you are a person who feels like you're here to lead the charge into our new world, the world that is going to be the one that we have to kind of put together on the other side of this challenge, if you're a change agent or a catalyst, I really want to provide you with additional support. So please do visit selfresourcing.com and follow the links to the Change Agent Catalyst quiz and follow the links to learn about the collab that we're going to be starting. It's a pay it forward collab, so you can join for 4 weeks and have a lot of experiences similar to what we're doing now. You'll actually get the whole underpinning of why what we just did worked the way that it did. And then we'll offer you different opportunities to be able to be trained in these kind of self-resourcing technologies so that you can help the people that you're closest to and the people in your community and the people who are on the front lines, so that all of us bring our very best to this moment and to the equally or possibly more challenging moments that we have in front of us. I so appreciate you and your time, and I'm going to sign off now. Thanks.